Good evening and a very warm welcome to everyone joining us for PLG 282, celebrating the legend William Blake. I'm Tufail Ahmed, Global President PLG, and it is truly an honor to welcome you all to this special edition on William Blake. William Blake was not only a poet, but also a painter, visionary, and philosopher whose genius went unrecognized during his lifetime, but later earned him a place among the greatest literary figures. His works are a blend of mysticism, social critique, and lyrical beauty. Collections like Song of Innocence and Experience showcase his remarkable ability to capture the purity of childhood and contrast it with the harsh reality of adult society. His prophetic book reflects his bold imagination and his deep questioning of authority, religion, and oppression. Blake believed that poetry and art have the power to open the doors of perception, and tonight we gather here to reflect on his timeless thoughts, his revolutionary ideas, and his lasting legacy in the world of literature. As he beautifully wrote, "To see a world in the grain of sand and a heaven in the wildflower, hold infinity in the palm of your hand and eternity in an hour." And again in the Lamb he tenderly asks, "Little lamb, who made thee? Dost thou know who made thee?" These simple yet profound lines reflect his vision that innocence and imagination are at the core of human existence. I'm sure today's session on William Blake will be loved by our followers and poetry lovers from all over the world. Before we move further, let us take a moment to celebrate PLG's journey. From humble beginning, the Poetry and Literary Group has blossomed into a global family, connecting poets and writers across the continents, nurturing creativity in multiple languages, and spreading the fragrance of the world of the words worldwide. PLG also takes pride in being the first organization to host online Kavi Sammelan Mushaira, a tradition we are continuing every week for last 5.5 hours. Years, not hours, years. We are guided by our two taboos: no religious poems and no political poems. This is to ensure that we remain a safe, inclusive, and universal home for literature in its purest form. And today, we are fortunate to have anchor Jati Chaudhary, a bright, multi-talented young achiever She excelled in her 12th grade with centums in Hindi and has received awards from Embassy of India in Oman for 4 consecutive years. A graduate of Birla Balika Vidyapeeth Pilani, she holds the Competent Communicator Award from Gables Club. She has anchored several events and contributed as educator to her school and PLG's and edited PLG's children magazine. A black belt holder in karate. She also pursues Hindustani music, and she has penchant for reading books. Above all, since joining 2019, she has grown into a confident communicator and a leader, apart from being a young poet. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me call Jati Chaudhary, and I request all of you to welcome her with a big round of applause. And before I conclude, one more thing, request all of you to take care of your time limit. Everybody has 5 minutes so that we can finish the program on time. Over to you, Jati, among the big applause from all of us.
Thank you very much, sir. A very good evening to one and all present here, ladies, gentlemen, and all those of my generation too. Not taking much time, as we know, we're here today to celebrate William Blake. This man is one of those people which we find in the field of literature quite often. Not just literature in other fields too, but people of this kind are abound in the field of literature who are not recognized or given their due while they're alive. And seemingly, fields like these make people too humble to even try and claim the fame that's due to them. So, well, till the day they die, they don't receive their dues. But yet, as they say, you die, your body leaves. What lives on? It's your work that does. Today, the meeting that we hold here, the event that we are holding here, the gathering that we are holding here, it's all testament to that one fact. This man, William Blake, he may not have been recognized during his lifetime, but the lack of recognition or the lack of fame or the lack rather of people who wouldn't understand where he had gone in his mental pursuits did not deter him. It never deterred him from doing the work he was supposed to do, for what he was called to do, for what they call the holy vocation. Once you realize what you've been called to do, there's no looking back. Nothing deterred him. He went on and on. We know many of the hardships he would have faced. There are many we don't know. And there are many of the hardships we would find hard to imagine, even. Yet, what lives on is William Blake's work. And today, this gathering is also testament to the fact that sometimes mistakes cannot be mended. It's too late sometimes. But you can always do something to improve your approach the next time the same scenario crops up. The world not having given William Blake is a mistake of humanity, is a mistake of time. We cannot mend it, for the man is gone. The times are gone. But the best we can do today, and what we are fortunately doing because of PLG, is to honor what he left behind, to honor the kind of life he lived, to understand that people like him never die. They transcend time, they transcend borders. Today, we have people from so many countries. Technology, which would have never existed during his time, is there today. We are in front of the technology. Yet, one person that binds all of us, William Blake. Coming to what William Blake really was, This man always thought of bringing a change into the social order of the time, largely neglected or dismissed during his time. He was a multifarious personality: poet, painter, engraver, most of all, a visionary. Alexander Gilchrist, the very well known writer, philosopher, and donning a hat of many feathers, wrote in his 1863 book, Life of William Blake, that Blake, I quote, neither wrote nor drew for the many, hardly for working day men at all, rather for children and angels, himself a divine child, whose playthings were the sun, moon, and the stars, and the heavens and the earth. No matter how mystic his poetic style sounded, Blake himself, on a personal level, believed that his writings were of national importance. If not in the erstwhile time, then they would be one day. This man was a true visionary who looked beyond his times. And as they say, looking beyond your times, taking the road not taken, as Robert Frost wrote it, is never easy. You just have to do it because your mind knows and you know that it is the right thing to be done. More often than not, when you're right, they say you're alone. He too was alone. Today, we take this opportunity to celebrate William Blake, to celebrate the legacy he left behind. Not taking much time, we begin with our participants. Our very first participant will be Nishka Sharma from China, reading a very beautiful poem titled The Poison Tree. No spoilers, the stage is all yours.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. Yeah, I'll be reading The Poison Tree, and it's very short, but it's quite sweet. I was angry with my friend. I told my wrath did end. I was angry with my foe. I told it not. My wrath did grow. I watered it in fears, night and morning, with my tears, and I sent it with smiles, with soft, deceitful wiles. And it grew both day and night, till it bore an apple bright. And my foe beheld it shine, and he knew that it was mine. And into my garden stole, when the night had veiled the pole. In the morning glad I see my foe outstretched beneath the tree. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nishka. And yes, as they say, it was a short poem, but the feeling behind words, and yet again, legends like William Blake, I don't think they need vocabulary to really move your heart. For them, two lines of words are much more than enough to move your heart and to make you remember what they said. Thank you so much for this. Moving ahead, we will have the poem, which is again a very beautiful one, titled The Divine Image. And the divine image or the ideology in this poem conforms to what Alexander Gilchrist wrote about William Blake and what I just quoted a few minutes ago, that this man was a divine child. No matter how much he grew, no matter how much his pursuits were, yet inside he was a child who was wondrous of everything around him, who found the beauty in everything around him. And only to emphasize that beautiful sentiment, which most of us actually forget as we leave the annals of childhood, I call upon Kavyansh Tiwari to recite to you the divine image. Welcome to you.
To mercy, pity, peace, and love, all pray in their distress, and to these virtues of delight, return their thankfulness. For mercy, pity, peace, and love is God our Father dear, and mercy, pity, peace, and love is man his child in care. For mercy has a human heart, pity a human face, and love the human form divine, and peace the human dress. Then every man of every clime that prays in his distress, prays to the human form divine, love, mercy, pity, peace. And all must love the human form, Heathen, Turk, or Jew, where mercy, love, and pity dwell. Their God is dwelling too.
Thank you, Kavaj. Thank you very much for that recitation.
Very
Moving
nice,
ahead.
beautiful.
Right, right. A very beautiful recitation indeed. Moving ahead, it's very heartening and yet different from others, you know. William Blake, as a child back in the early 19th century, skipped any formal schooling. This man did not have any formal schooling. Most of his education was received at home with his parents. There were reasons to his lack of formal schooling, financial reasons, ideological reasons. His parents much preferred to keep the boy at home and encourage his artistic talents, signs of which he showed from a very young age. And well, as the world was getting to witness his work today, I don't think we regret it much, do we? Because a person like him might very much, we don't know the times how they would have been back then, but a schooling system, a rigid educational system as it was back then, not now, but as it was back then, might as well have suppressed the boy's talents. The fact that he was chosen to do something that would stay on forever is a huge fact in itself and must be cherished. Moving forward, may I invite Alina from Oman to recite the poem titled Joy. Welcome to you.
Thank you so much. So I'll be reading a poem named Joy by, as you know, William Blake. Joy and woe are woven fine, are clothing for the soul divine. Under every grief and pine runs a joy with silken twine. It is right, it should be so. Man was made for joy and woe, and when this we rightly know, safely through the world we go. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alina. Thank you for the much felt recitation. We could really get
Very
the
nice,
feelings in it.
Alina, very nice.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
I now go forward, inviting onto the stage another one of our poets from a very far off country. And that's what makes PLG so beautiful. We have already had 4 different countries by now, and here's yet another. From Tanzania, may I invite Sanidhi Jethalia. Welcome. Is Sanidhi here with us?
I think she has some net issue, so you take the next one.
She will join later.
No problem. We go ahead after Sanidhi. We go ahead to Master Pratham Mishra from Mauritius.
Thank you. Greetings to all. Happy Independence Day and happy Janmashtami to all. Tonight, I would like to recite a poem by the famous British poet William Blake. William Blake was not just a poet, he was also a painter, a printmaker, and a visionary thinker. William Blake's poetry was deeply shaped by his spirituality, imagination, and a bold rejection of rigid artistic rules. Blake believed that poetry should come from inspiration and not be limited by traditions. Nature, God, and the human soul were his recurring themes in his work, and he used vivid symbolic imagery to express those. He celebrated as a poet who bridged the world of innocence and experience, of reality and vision. His poem invites us to see beyond the ordinary into the realm of the eternal world. So, this evening, let us enjoy one of his most powerful and thought provoking works, The Tiger. I am Pratham Mishra from Mauritius, and I'll now share this poem with you through my voice. The Tiger by William Blake. Tiger, tiger, burning bright, in the forests of the night, what immortal hands or eye could frame thy fearful symmetry? In what distant deeps or skies burn the fire of thine eyes? On what wings dare he aspire? What the hand that sees the fire? And what shoulder and what art could twist the sceneries of thy heart? And when thy heart began to beat, what dread hand and what dread feet? What the hammer, what the chain, In what furnace was thy brain? What the anvil, what dread grasp? There its deadly terrors clasp. When the stars threw down their spears and watered heaven with their tears, did he smile his work to see? Did he who made the lamp make thee? Tiger, tiger, burning bright in the forests of the night, what immortal hands or eye dare frame thy fearful symmetry? Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Pratham, for a very wonderfully done recitation. Thank you very much. And thank you not just for reciting, but for coming onto this platform. It was an absolute joy to hear you. Thanks again. Moving forward, Blake, conforming to his reputation as the child who found the wonders and the beauty in anything, no matter how old he got, Blake at one point was very much obsessed with the words innocence and experience. He never specifically used them in most of his poems. Some of them he did, but most of them he did not. Yet, innocence and experience were the ideas he often conformed to in quite many of his works. One of the most beautiful works, a poem titled Holy Thursday, was written when he saw young children, impoverished ones, walking into the St. Paul's Cathedral in London. And the lines he wrote touched the heart very deeply. It was on a holy Thursday, their innocent faces clean, the children walking two and two in red and blue and green. Grey headed beadles walked before with wands as white as snow, till into the high dome of Paul's they like Thames water flow. Blake admired the innocence, yet he never forgot to see the exploitation that these children were going to face in the foreseeable future. Conforming to a similar idea, William Blake wrote the poem The Lamb, where he talks to a little lamb, asks the lamb who made it, who was the source of its creation, how the lamb is so beautiful, showing Blake's love of the pastoral countryside, even though he spent most of his life, except hardly 3 to 4 years, in London, in an urban, flourishing city. Yet, the pastoral countryside was what charmed Blake the most for all of his life. May I now invite Master Arif Tufail Ahmed from Oman to recite the poem The Lamp. Welcome to you.
Good evening. I am Arif Tufail Ahmed from Oman. I am going to present the poem The Lamb by William Blake. It is a deeply symbolic poem that blends simplicity with spiritual depth. The Little Lamb The Lamb by William Blake. The little lamb who made thee, dost thou know who made thee? Gave thee life and bid thee feed by the stream over the mead. Gave thee clothing of delight, softest clothing, woolly bright. Gave thee such a tender voice, making all the vales rejoice. Little lamb, who made thee? Dost thou know who made thee? Little lamb, I know tell thee, little lamb, I tell thee, he is called thy name, for he calls himself a lamb. He is meek and he is mild, and he becomes a little child. I am a child, and thou a lamb. We are called by his name. Little lamb, God bless thee. Little lamb, God bless thee. The poem is written like a gentle nursery rhyme. A child is speaking directly to a little lamb, asking, do you know who made you? The little lamb is admired for its softness, gentleness, and innocent voice. Then the child answers his own question, saying that God made the lamb. In this poem, Wilbur used symbolism. The lamb is a symbol of innocence, purity, and gentleness. In Christian symbolism, the lamb is also associated with Jesus Christ, which is called the Lamb of God. The child represents innocence and purity, aligned with the lamb's qualities. Qualities. In the Bible, Jesus also said that people must, like little children, also must become like little children in order to enter the kingdom of heaven. God, Creator, is both gentle, meek, and mild, and became a human as a child, just as innocent as a lamb. This poem has a much deeper meaning. The poem explores creation, innocence, and divine love. Every gentle and innocent thing in nature, like the lamb, reflects God's nature. Jesus is portrayed as both the creator and as the one who shares in that innocence. The child is questioning and answering reflects pure faith. The mysteries are accepted with wonder rather than skepticism. Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Arif. Thank you for a very, very beautiful recitation of a sentiment pretty few understand. And even if they do, it often wears off with time, with circumstances. Thank you for bringing it back to us.
Dear Jyoti,
Yes, ma'am.
yeah, thank you, Arif. It was a wonderful recitation with very apt explanation. And to
Thank
hear
you.
the poet, two different poems. One was tiger and one was lamb, like two opposite animals, fiery and gentle. Very good combination. Thank you so much.
Right. Thank you again, Arif. As Auntie just said, thank you very much for this. Moving forward, Blake did admire, as I just quoted a few minutes ago again, Blake admired the child in every person, the child who is the root of very creation, the beauty, the most beautiful creation of the Almighty, an innocent divine child. Yet, Blake never overlooked the torture that most children in those times, London, the city he lived in, faced. And one of his eponymous beautiful works that shows really how much Blake felt for these children is The Chimney Sweeper. It's a part of his collection, Songs of Innocence, released in 1789. It explores the grim lives of the child chimney sweepers, portraying themes of innocence amid suffering, exploitation, and a theme that Blake truly loved, it seems through his works, spiritual redemption. Blake used very simple language and a little child's perspectives to highlight the harsh realities of industrial England. The Industrial Revolution was underway, making it a poignant critique of social injustice, moral apathy. This poem, it blends simplicity, comments on societal flaws, makes people think, is it ethically right to involve a child in work that makes him forget his childhood? On your heart, you know it isn't right. And yet, that's the truth of society because it happens until today, it continues to happen. It's the worst part of it. William Blake may not have received fame for this feeling and this sentiment and this work in his lifetime, yet, about 50 years later, we have no right to really conclude whether it was totally based off this. But about 50 years later, around 1839 or 38, I don't remember correctly, sorry, Charles Dickens happened to release Oliver Twist around a similar theme, and Dickens and Oliver Twist were an instant hit, which we still read today, still admire today. Yet, it's good to think, it's wonderful to think that Blake thought of this 50 years prior, half a century his senior. Going forward, may I invite Mrs. Aarti Ganeshji from Suriname to recite The Chimney Sweeper. Welcome to you.
Yes, thank you, Miss. Good morning from my side. As you mentioned, I will be sharing this beautiful poem called The Chimney Sweeper by William Blake. The Chimney Sweeper. When my mother died, I was very young, and my father sold me while yet my tongue could scarcely cry, weep, 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 weep. So your chimneys I sweep, and in sooth I sleep. There's little Tom Dart, who cried when his head, that curled like a lamb's back, was shaved. So I said, "Hush, Tom, never mind it, for when your head's bare, you know that a suit cannot spoil your white hair." And so he was quiet, and that very night, as Tom was sleeping, he had such a sight that thousands of sweepers, Dick, Joe, Nat, and Jack, were all of them locked up in coffins of black. And by came an angel who had a bright key, and he opened the coffins and set them all free. Then down a green plain, leaping, laughing, they run, and wash in a river and shine in the sun. Then naked and white, all their bags left behind, they rise upon clods and sports in the wind. And the angel told Tom, if he would be a good boy, he would have God for his father and never want joy. And so Tom awoke, and we rose in the dark, and got with our bags and our brushes to work. Thought the morning was cold, Tom was happy and warm. So if all do their duty, they need not fear harm. Thank you.
Beautiful, very nice.
Well recited.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for a quite touching recitation.
Welcome.
Blake, as we have been seeing over the past few minutes, past few recitations, Blake had a penchant, a knack, more to say, to choose themes that may not have been very relevant, but touch the soul and to touch issues that were not well discussed. It takes daring to discuss what no one else does. At a time around the early 1790s, rather the end of the 18th century, religion in England was something no one had the courage to speak against. Religion was considered an irrevocable part of anyone's life, not open to interpretation, suppressing to everything that defines a happy life. Blake challenged this using his collection, Songs of Experience. He highlighted the restrictive nature of organized religion, or rather the religion of the erstwhile times. To Blake, joy, desire, love, emotions, humanity were the greatest form of life any human being on the planet could ever pursue. To him, an organized book, an organized way of life could never define how a human shapes his or her life. To him, it was the emotions, it was the work you did, it was the smiles you could put on someone else's faces, it was the hunger of a hungry person in front of you that you could satisfy, even if it was by sacrificing your very own meal. To Blake, that was life. One of the most beautiful depictions of this thought process, where he allows readers to connect with his sense of loss and disillusionment, conforming to everything he has been taught since childhood, where at a point he feels that everything he has been taught must be open to interpretation and modification with the times. To put the idea forward to the world, Blake writes, The Garden of Love. Another beautiful work. May I now invite Ms. Meenu Lodha from USA, the United States of America, to recite to us The Garden of Love. Welcome to you.
Thank you so much, dear. Beautifully handling the program.
Thank
And
you.
I should say namaste to all of you, and a big thanks to Ahmed sir and Simiji for inviting me here.
Namaste and most
Namaste.
welcome.
Thank you so much.
Namaste.
Attending it for
Most
the
welcome.
first time. And before starting my poetry, I just want to say two things. It was so refreshing to see youngsters reciting the poetry. You know, this is something rare. I have attended many programs, but seeing the youngsters reciting, and that also the literary works, it is such a great feel, because you know youngsters, they have a curiosity about life and experience, and when the younger generation engages with the literature, they do not only keep the cultural efforts alive and the traditions alive, but they bring their own perspectives and their own voices in this. And
Definitely,
we can
definitely, and
Very well said.
yes,
Very well
yes,
said.
definitely,
yes,
and that is the purpose of inviting
yes,
children to this
yes,
program.
yes, exactly,
Our vision is to connect people with literature,
yes,
and without
exactly.
connecting the children, we can't achieve that
Yes, yes,
that goal.
exactly. Because only because of them, the culture can stay relevant and we can connect people all through the pages and all through the countries. So, really refreshing. Thank you so much.
Thank you
And
for liking.
dear Miss Chaudhary, you are really handling the program very well. So much info you are giving us about Blake sir. So, I'll just start my poem. As we all know that he was a romantic revolutionary, and he was a painter, he was a print master, everything. And even his paintings and print masters were like depicted in the famous poets Milton and books also. We know that also. So my poem, it is The Garden of Love, and it has been taken from his famous Songs of Experience. I went to the Garden of Love. I went to the Garden of Love and saw what I had never seen. A chapel was built in the midst. A chapel was built in the midst where I used to play on the green. And the gates of this chapel were shut. And the gates of the chapel were shut, and thou shalt not, written over the word. And you will not, written over the door. So I turned to the garden of love. So I turned to the garden of love that so many sweet flowers bore. And I saw it was filled with graves and tombstones where flowers should be. And priests in black gowns were walking the rounds and binding with briars my joys and my desires. Very short, very crisp, very precise poem, but he is striking so many things on this, and we just need to understand this. But thank you so much for giving me time to recite this
Very
poetry of
nice.
mine.
Very
Thank you,
beautiful.
Thank you so much.
and you have presented so well.
Thank you
The
so much. Thank you.
clarity and the words, the emotions and the words you have truly
Thank you.
reflected in your
Thank you so
recitation.
much. Thank you so much for inviting. Thank you.
Dear Minuji, loved your recitation, the way you presented your poem,
Thank you.
explained and said those nice worthy words for our PLG group.
Yes,
Thank you
yes,
so much.
yes.
Hope to
Thank you
see
so
you
much.
again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Meenuji, for the wonderful recitation again. And yes, as Meenuji said, The Garden of Love, the poem has so many themes it emphasizes on that it's often hard to keep track, be it the repression of the natural human desires, the loss of innocence and freedom, a critique, an organized critique of religion, the way Blake feels it, and the way a poet should put it forward, no matter what the circumstances. That's the duty love for literature bestows upon you. Moving forward, Blake wasn't a very politically inclined person, yet he had the talent of saying what no one else did. All of us, be it in history, be it in literature, we know about the storming of the Bastille prison in Paris in 1789. It's what commenced the historic French Revolution. At the time in England, it sent shockwaves through the entire country. The very first thought that came to most people was of a corresponding outbreak of similar kinds in England too. Here comes in Blake. Blake writes, Every morning I look out at the French windows, which were very much not present at his window, of course, because he was in England. Yet he has the imagination to say it. Every morning I look out at the French windows, aged men fading away every day. Again, in 1793, 4 years after the horrific storming of the prison, Blake wrote his work titled America, where he addressed the idea of revolution, not as a commentary on the actual revolution in America that most anticipated and rather, in today's words, overhyped. But he wrote it as a commentary on universal principles that get challenged every time there's war, every time there's revolution. He saw the world. He saw that most of the cattle herd was going on the path of war or revolution because it sounded more stirring when revolutionaries took on underground basement meetings and discussed the enthusiasm. But people like William Blake were those who saw behind the facade and realized what would happen once the war started. He proved what Hippocrates said in the medical field: prevention is better than cure. William Blake used his mind, his pen, his way of doing things to tell people it wasn't right. Ideologies can change. Sometimes principles are subject to change because time moves forward, but nothing is worth the life of thousands of people because one life gone is one family destroyed. Moving forward with that, may I invite Anwar Hussainji from Canada? Welcome to you, please.
You're not audible. You're not audible.
You have to, oh, now you can hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
All right. Thank you so much for the introduction. Jiti, I should say you are doing a wonderful job.
Thank you.
You have
Thank you, sir.
studied William Blake in so much detail. For you to be giving an intro before each poem is amazing.
Thank you.
Keep up the good job. I listened to your couple of previous performance of was also very impressed with it. I think you put in a lot of hard work to study the subject of the poems that you're going to be presenting. Excellent job. Keep it up.
Thank you, sir. It's PLG that makes everything worth it.
Yep. And it is definitely a pleasure joining the poetry gathering today. Special thanks to Mr. Tufail Ahmed, Simiji, and Sher Banubin, who has been encouraging me, persuading me for all this time to join the group.
Most welcome, sir. And we are really delighted to have you here. And I hope, we will continue to have your association on this stage.
Thank you
Yeah,
so
for
much
sure,
for
for sure.
joining.
It's almost an hour and it just passed by so fast. And it's like they say, when you're having fun, you don't seem the time pass. And yeah, I'm in the middle of moving houses. So my next poem will be, Oh, the Pain of Moving. Anyway, that's not my
That's a
poem that I'm
wonderful
going to read.
association.
Yeah. Anyway, happy belated Independence Day to all of you.
To you too.
Just to give you a prelude to my poem, which relates to me very well as a grandpa of 5 kids, The Nurse's Song. It's a poem from from William Blake's book collection in 1789, Songs of Innocence. It's a conversational narration of the talk between nurse and the playing children. A gentle yet thoughtful poem, it celebrates the innocence of the childhood. With me having 5 grandkids, believe me, I know the joy of innocence. The difference between how adults and children see the world and view time and responsibility. Blake reminds us of freedom, laughter, simple pleasures that define youth. It's a reflection of carefree spirit of children. A reminder and a moral message for us all adults to treasure those precious moments in every circumstances and live life to its fullest. And here I present my poem, The Nurse's Song. When the voices of children are heard on the green and laughing is heard on the hill, my heart is at rest within my breast and everything else is still. Then come home, my children, the sun goes down and the dews of night arise. Come, come, leave off play and let us away till the morning appears in the skies. No, no, let us play, for it's yet day and we cannot go to sleep. Besides, in the sky the little birds fly and the hills are covered with sheep. Well, well, go play till the light fades away and then go home to bed. The little ones leaped and shouted and laughed, and all the hills echoed. It so shows the joy of the children, the little pleasures that they get out of life. And it's just a great poem to be reading. And thank you very much for listening to me.
Well recited and well narrated as well. It's really a pleasure to have you here on the stage.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Anwar Bhai, for joining PLG and gracing the occasion. It was lovely to hear you with that nice, elegant sense of humor in whatever you say. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Anwarji. It's an absolute pleasure to have you here, and we hope to have you many more times now. We would love to see you again and again. Thank you very much for this. As they say, a child and what a child sees is not subject to any textbook, any course material, anything that is defined by language. A child's innocence is only felt. It can never be written, there can be no justice to it in written, read, or any sort of documented form. See it, feel it, laugh with it, sometimes cry with the child. Just remember, it's the most beautiful thing that God ever created. And probably the Almighty Himself is proud of it. Moving forward, as William Blake, the person, always had in his mind the thought of a society that treasures values, that treasures the everlasting universal principles. Blake, as I mentioned, the French Revolution a little while ago, anticipating a similar revolution in America, which ended up happening not as a revolution, but as a state of war between America and France. Blake wrote the story of a tyrannical king who was not liked by his people, of course, who tyrannized them, who did not let the children play outside, who did not let the women roam about freely, who oppressed anyone and everyone who did not sing his praises. Blake also ended the Song of Urizen, which is the name of his work, with the antagonist turning into a protagonist. The person, the king, who is terrorizing his people, thinking of fashioning a new world where everyone would be equal. Principles would echo. Children would cry around, play around, dance around. And the sounds that Blake always admired, the chirping of the birds, the breeze of the wind, would always be there to comfort you anytime you felt lonely, anytime you felt sad. Because then again, every human at some point leaves the planet. It's nature that stays on. Nature never leaves you. Going forward with that idea, may I invite Suraj Gupta ji from Netherlands to recite to us the Echoing Green.
Thank you, Jayati. So first of all, thank you, Simiji and Tufel and the whole PLG for having me again at this platform. I'm very glad for that.
You are most welcome.
Yeah, thank you so much. And thank you, Jayati. You're doing wonderful job. Yeah, always a pleasure to hear you. I think you are just like maybe there are some things that we don't know about Williams Blake, but from now I know, I think him much more and in a much better way with all the explanations. So thank you for that. So today I'm going to recite the poem "The Echoing Green." So the poem Echoing Green is a part of Blake's collection of songs of innocence. And it's the collection which celebrated childhood, purity, and also a harmonious view of life and nature. Historically, it's a part of Blake's broader attempt to challenge the industrial changes happening in 18th century. I am an environmental science student, so I'm an environmentalist myself, so that's why the nature always calls to me. And this is a very beautiful poem to connect how our life is so connected to the nature. So the poem captures the timeless bond we share with the environment around us. The generations pass, but the nature remains. In a world where the green spaces are increasingly fragile, the Blake's words remind us of their beauty, their vitality, and their power, and they echo across time. So, with this spirit, I bring to you Blake's poem, The Echoing Green. The sun does arise and make happy the skies. The merry bells ring to welcome the spring. The skylark and thrush, the birds of the bush, sing louder around to bells' cheerful sound, while our sports shall be seen on the echoing green. Old John, old John, with white hair, does laugh away care, sitting under the oak among the old folk. They laugh at our play, and soon they all say, such were the joys when we all, girls and boys, in our youth time were seen on the echoing green. Till the little ones weary, no more can be merry. The sun does descend, and our sports have an end. Round the laps of their mothers, many sisters and brothers, like birds in the nest, are ready to rest. And they're ready to, where I lost it, just a moment. And ready to the nest, like birds in the nest. Yeah. What was? And the sports no more seen on the darkening green. So thank you so much.
Very well recited.
Very nice.
Thank you very much, Suyashi. Thank you very much for the very beautiful recitation. And again, we hope to see you a lot many more times on this platform. Thank you for gracing youth with your presence. Moving forward, we have often seen in literature, not only of English, but of Hindi, of other languages, Indian languages, foreign languages, artists, writers, anyone and everyone in the creating field, the field of creation, have seemed to have a particular sort of love for a particular place. It could be their birthplace, it could be the place they worked, it could be the place where they realized something. But there seems to be a place that they talk about differently than they talk about anything else. To Blake, that place was London, and not elite London, not the upper class London. The slums of London, the underprivileged, impoverished factory workers of London. At the time of the French Revolution, at the time when America and the UK, both, the Great Britain to be more specific, was in a state of upheaval. Mobs were a commonplace scenario. Blake was much disturbed by a particular event that occurred in London. To add a little context to this, when Blake was 14, he and his father went to William Ryland, who was quite a respected engraver. As we have said, William Blake also was a good engraver. His father took him to William Ryland at the age of 14, as was the trend for young boys to learn a particular craft and then work as an apprentice, then choose whether or not they would want to pursue the craft. Most of them did pursue the craft. Some of them went on to the cities to become what they then called the so called gentleman. William Blake, the 14-year-old boy, denied the arrangement and told his father, "I do not like the man's face. It looks as though he lives to be hanged." Eerily enough, it's quite frightening to think of it. 12 years later, William Ryland was truly hanged on charges of incest. Following this, William Blake became the apprentice of a lesser known engraver in London called James Basire. And Basire proved to be the master that Blake really wanted. And Blake only and only excelled at his craft, creating some very beautiful works later on in life. At the age of 21, which is rightfully the legal age at that time, he made his living as an engraver, engraved illustrations for novels such as the Don Quixote, which is quite famous in classic literature. The incident that affected Blake occurred in June 1780, when riots broke out all across London. Catholics, Protestants, a sort of civil war different in the fact that it involved religion. Blake was disturbed. Houses, churches, prisons were all burnt by uncontrollable mobs. They were bent on destruction. One evening, by accident, Blake ended up finding himself at the front of the mob that burned Newgate Prison. The burning of Newgate Prison was something that etched onto Blake's mind for all his life. 9 years later, when the Bastille was burnt, it's no wonder Blake opened up his books and scratched his pen and wrote till the nib broke. Images of violent destruction and unbridled revolution are found in the works of Blake, such as Europe, which was written in 1794, and America, which was written in 1793, which I've quoted earlier. Moving forward with this, may I invite another guest of ours, Dr. Anisuddin, to recite the poem very aptly titled London. Welcome to you, sir.
Thank you very much. Indeed, it's an excellent program going on. I'm very much thrilled to join and express my views. And I thank the organizers for giving me a chance. I would like to be in a different way present William Blake because I have studied about him and I always feel that he is a pioneer and I can keep him with the legend poets like Lord Tennyson, Men May Come and Men May Go, But I Go On Forever, The Brook, or the Robert Frost. Woods are lovely, dark and deep. I have promises to keep and miles to go before I sleep. So I consider this poet as a revolutionary poet. William Blake was moved with different faces and passers-by, a keen observer, and he has brought exactly what is the life in a megalopolis. Megalopolis is a center, a city which is highly crowded, beyond cosmopolitan or beyond a megalopoly. So megalopolis is a new concept that time. It erupted in the 17th century. So that was the reason why he was just observing people and he was really moved by seeing their faces, their work, and the supremacy of the church, government, and also the social evils that were prevailing. As he says in one time that a lady, before getting into a institution of marriage, gets into prostitution. This is a real fact, what he has presented and what he has seen on the banks of River Thames and elsewhere in the streets of London. Really, in one an hour or something like that, we cannot summarize whatever William Blake has put social evils and social revolutions and how he tried to do it or solve it radically, becoming a pioneer and putting it in front of the authorities. But as you all know, wherever there is a anger and wherever there is an awakening, definitely that voice is stooped down and never it will rise again. But whatever it is, today we are remembering him because of his work and also because of the way he has done it. And it is really a lesson for all of us when we go through this highly congested and highly, different variations of social status. Definitely we feel. But nowadays we don't have that much time to analyze the person's caliber or their skills and to put it in the right way. So to start with the London, I have chosen that because London is supposed to be where I was going now and then and visiting many times. And as we see, all of us, what he has said is aptly correct because the people are just moving. You see Bombay trains, they are same like metro trains and suburb trains in London, tube rails in the same way. So there is not much difference between a Bombay local train and a tube train. Of course, depending upon the population, here it is a different scenario and there it is in different. Even people begging money in the stations, standing with guitar and a dog, as seen many times. So that means the livelihood, the jobs, odd jobs they do. Am I audible?
Yes,
Okay.
you are audible.
I have seen many people getting down into the ducts, drainage ducts. I have seen Britishers, I'm telling. They have gone into the ducts for cleaning of these wastewater ducts and all the channels and everything. So that means you can imagine now, everything is not a bed of roses there also, and everything is not as flimsy as we think. So let me start the London, which is done by written, very, very, very emotionally and very much bringing social evils into the picture. I wander through each charted street. A charted streets means different streets that are available in London, near where the charted Thames does flow. Thames River is flowing everywhere throughout UK, you can say. You have a lot of tributaries and all that. So I wander through each charted street near where the charted Thames does flow, and mark in every face, I meet marks of weakness and marks of woe. You can just see two words, weakness and woe. So what does that mean? He means a lot in that. Every passerby he observed, and he tried to read his faces. Through this London poem, he is expressing the feelings of other people. He is trying to study the people who are really working there and who are really struggling there. As he walks, he notices something about the faces of the people walking by. They are very gloomy faces, very dusky faces. There seems to be the marks of weariness in them. Man has become a machine there. Like in Bombay, same, I say, analogous to same as Bombay. Man has become a machine. There seems to be the marks of weariness in the people. He describes their faces as having weakness and woe. This sets up tone as melancholy. The gloom and the sadness seem to seep from the speaker's voice as he describes by reading the passers-by's mind as well as face. So this was the first stanza what that says about London. In every cry of every man, in every infant's cry of fear, in every voice, in every ban, ban, ban. Now he brings ban, a word. The mind forged manacles I hear. The speaker really says the cry of a newborn. Now, when normally in Indian conditions, when a newborn is there, a child, the whole family is very happy and they celebrate, they dance and they do everything. They have a lot of feast and everything. But a person cursing a newly born in London, that is what expressed in this. In every cry of every man, in every infant's cry, suppose if an infant is born, the people are crying.
I think Jyoti connection he has lost his connection.
Yes,
And the poem was recited,
Something
I
may
think,
happen.
already.
Yeah. The
Uh,
ban,
sir,
of course,
we're
Okay, thank
is
you,
a
really
Doctor.
restriction
sorry,
given by
but
the law. There is one more.
so we are really sorry, but it's necessary to conform to the time limits.
Okay. Shall I finish it? The poem at least?
Yes, please. Yes, please. Quick.
The next stanza says how the chimney sweepers, of course, chimney
Should we go forward, sir?
chimney speakers, a lot has been already dealt with. So I'm not going into the deep into that. And the hapless soldiers, I want to bring only one aspect, that soldiers are hapless. And their sigh is very much because they run in blood down palace walls. So palace walls are built with the blood of soldiers, because the government supports are not, that is a different case. And the last paragraph will be, but most through midnight streets, I hear how the youthful harlots curse. Blast the newborn infants, tear and blights with plagues with marriage hears. That's what exactly I said. When a newborn is born, people will not accommodate or will not welcome, but try to curse. That is what exactly William Blake says. Of course, there is a lot in that, lot of meaning and lot to understand, but let us restrict here and let us see something will happen maybe in the next century or whatever, and people will be given their due respect. I hope so. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you, Roxa. That was wonderful and a quite big insight into the poem.
Thank you very much, sir, for the detailed insight, for the explanations, and for the very fact that most of the great cities in the world, be it London or the analogy you drawed with Bombay, are paradoxical in their very nature. They have some of the most elite, richest neighborhoods of the world, and yet they also have some of the greatest slums of the world. Paradoxical nature of these cities is something we must think about, for it is the harsh reality of the world, no matter how much we choose to overlook. Moving forward, we have William Blake as a person who, like many in the field, or rather, I'd put it in a better way, many times we see people who think ahead of their times, be it in literary fields, be it in scientific fields, people like Einstein. Einstein was a huge example of this. They find it very frustrating that people around them cannot understand what they can. They end up having no one to explain, no one to discuss what they actually think. Because when their mind runs, it runs 50 years ahead of the present. And it is truly frustrating to think of it, let alone face it, knowing that you have in mind something that will be a reality in the foreseeable future, but no one around you chooses to understand it. And well, doing things alone in a world, being a human, which is a social animal in quotes, is not a very possible fate. William Blake showed some of this frustration in his poem Memory Hither Come. Not in a frustrating way, essentially, but in an imaginative way where he imagined a place he could be in. Wasn't really possible, but a place where he wanted to be, where he didn't need to explain what he was thinking. He didn't need to explain why he thought what he thought would be reality. In Memory Hither Come, he thinks of an imaginary river which is far, far away from the realities of the world. The river, the flowing river, the sunset, the sunrise, the alleys, the melancholy. Everything just inspires him to write poetry. No explanations, no answerability. There's no need to know or think what the next day will bring. Just know that this moment is what it is. He thinks of his imagination as a stream that fails him in his requests, leaving him to walk along darkened alleys at midnight in a state of silent melancholy, a sentiment much echoed by some of the greatest minds in and around us. May I now invite between us May I now invite Batul Idris Ji from India to recite to us another one of William Blake's beautiful works. May I just take a moment before this call? From India, it is failing in my duty as an anchor if I do not mention that we've celebrated this Independence Day, 79th Independence Day of India yesterday. And here in the Indian Embassy in Oman, in Muscat, it's our greatest privilege that one of the performances upstaged was a beautiful song, beautiful lyrics, futuristic thoughts written by our president, Sir Tufail Ahmed. I'm very glad and privileged to have been part of the choir and to see the song up on the stage on the 79th Independence Day was nothing short of an unforgettable moment. Thank you, sir, for giving us this.
Thank you, Jyoti, and congratulations on a wonderful performance also yesterday, which was well, appreciated by none less than our ambassador here in Oman.
Quite true, sir. Quite true. Moving forward, Batul-ji, the stage is all yours.
Very good evening, Tufail-ji, Simi-ji, and all the members of PLJ. And Ms. Chaudhary, you're doing a fantastic job. I really love the way you led us on. So here,
Thank you, and most welcome, Batul-ji.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much,
Most
Tufail-ji.
welcome.
Thank you. So, well, we all know William Blake as a painter, engraver, and a mystic. Perhaps we don't know that he is one of the big six romantic poets and a precursor of Art for Art's Sake, a movement in England, and also the Pre-Raphaelite Brotherhood and the Irish Literary Revival, where we see W.B. Yeats. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are very much.
Okay. So I'm going to start with Memory Hither Come. Memory hither come, and tune your merry notes, and while upon the wind your music floats, I'll pour upon the stream where sighing lovers dream, and fish for fancies as they pass within the watery glass. I'll drink of the clear stream and hear the linnet's and hear the linnet's song, and there I'll lie and dream the day along. And when the night comes, I'll go to places fit for woe, walking along the darkened valley with silent melancholy. That is Memory Hither Come. Do I have the permission to present just a very short excerpt from another poem?
Yes, very much. You have the time with you.
Okay.
You
So
haven't
this is-
consumed your quota of the time.
Thank you very much. This is Auguries of Innocence. We've heard a bit from Tufailji as we started the program. So, to see a world in a grain of sand and a heaven in a wild flower. Hold infinity in the palm of your hand and eternity in an hour. Very beautiful lines that describe creativity, poetry, and I think the mystic ideas of William Blake. So I'm going to continue. To see a world in a grain of sand and a heaven in a wild flower. Hold infinity in the palm of your hand and eternity in an hour. A robin redbreast in a cage puts all heaven in a rage. A dove house filled with doves and pigeons shudders hell through all its regions. A dog starved at his master's gates predicts the ruin of the state. A horse misused upon the road calls to heaven for human blood. Each outcry of the hunted hare, a fiber from the brain does tear. A skylark wounded in the wing, a cherubim does cease to sing. The gamecock, clipped and armed for fight, does the rising sun affright. Every wolves and lions howl, raises from hell a human soul. This is the excerpt I wanted to recite for today's evening.
Oh, very nice, very nice.
Excellent, excellent.
Thank you very, very much.
It's a beautiful poem and you recite it so well. It's a really marvel. It's a masterpiece, what he has written.
Thank you very much, Batulji, for this recitation. Thank you very much for putting the cherry on the cake, rather. It's as much as cherry on the cake. Thank you for this. With this, I know some endings are to be brought with a heavy heart, but as they say, don't disgrace the event with a heavy heart. So yes, it does feel a little tinging to bring this event to an end, but to a new beginning. Here we conclude this program, knowing at the end of these about 1.5 hours, William Blake, the person, the poet, the engraver, the divine child, who saw beyond what everyone saw, felt beyond what the world did. He never thought what anyone else was thinking of him. There was a point in his life where he was charged for treason against the government, yet he stood to his beliefs. While many of his counterparts bowed down to the government, sang the tunes of the monarchy just to save their lives. William Blake desired none of that. He wanted his work, he wanted his ideals, he wanted his existence, he wanted his legacy. And this event today is a true testament to what he left behind. He's made sacrifices, many of them. Some we know, most we don't. The best we can do is to honor him, to remember him, to know what he did. Very few have the courage to do. And yes, not just remembrance. What would be a better tribute than to imbibe some of it in our own lives? There's no dearth of situations where we might have to stand for our own ideals. There'll be a choice, the road not taken or the road beaten through. If you think the road not taken is right, take it. It's tough, it's thorny. But remember this man, remember many like him. They did it, they had the courage to do it. We remember them to this day. They did for the world what hardly anyone is often able to do. Passing over to Anupam Pathak ji for the release of the weekly magazine.
Beautiful, Jayati. Thank you. Because for 1 week I have been studying Blake, but hearing you, I just thought that I am just halfway through. You led me to the other half. Thank you. It was a great education. Whatever you said, the depth of your research was very good, and the way you enmeshed all the poets. I would like to say hello to all my young friends who have joined for the first time. And I would like to remind that Jayati is a product of this particular thought that children should be part of the literature, and they should be. She was nurtured in this particular, and the way she has developed herself now, I think so mesmerizing. Everybody on the stage has been mesmerized by the way you have presented Blake today. It was very good. And I was, I thought that the whole, I just heard the whole session, and my video was off just because I never wanted to miss any word of what you said. Because the beauty with which you all presented this the poetry session, I have to present the same thing into the magazine which will be following this particular week. And it is said that when you read, you are half read. When you listen, you are fully read. So the way and I think so, I have read the poems also, but when you read the poem on the dais, then the thing started percolating in me into my deepest core, that how I should be presenting it into the coming magazine. It was really great. I enjoyed every bit of it, and as it is said, that time stopped to listen to you along with me. Thank you. With this, with the permission of Chief our President, who is like a rock and supporting us every Saturday, and giving us the opportunity that we entertain ourselves, we learn, and we connect to the literature, as he said. The beautiful words, beginning words, and the way it ended with Batul's narration, it was just a mesmerizing session. So, with his permission, I would like to present
Please go ahead.
The last week's magazine. And the last week's magazine, it was a topic based, and it was dedicated to friendship as such. So we have our own William Blake amongst us, and he was a part of this particular. He silently listened to everything, and he is Mr. Zoeb Dalal. And you can see a very beautiful picture painted by him. And there was a discussion that this is in a landscape and they should be in the portrait. Friendship, you cannot put it into a portrait, because you have to bring all your memories together, and when you bring memories together, it is always in a landscape. Because the friends which you have, they are your asset. And seeing this particular picture, I was inspired to write a small poem, few lines. It is inspired by this particular picture. As you can see that you have been reading also, that William Blake, he wrote and he drew and he wrote, and he wrote and he drew. So his pictures were inspiration for his poems, and the poems were inspiration for whatever he drew. So this is a dedication to our own William Blake, Zoeb Dalal. The small poem, few lines, I just want to share before I proceed with this particular magazine. महफिल में दोस्तों का जिक्र छिड़ा तो बादामी कागज में लिपटा हुआ अलमारी में बहुत करीने से रखी तस्वीर का ख्याल आया। और इस समय मैंने एक अलमारी पर एक पोएम सुनी थी, वो भी याद आ गई थी मुझे इसमें। उसकी भी रचयिता हमारी स्टेज पर ही हैं, जिनकी अलमारी और उनके हस्बैंड की अलमारी के बीच में काफी युद्ध होता रहता है, तो वो याद आ गई थी लिखते हुए। तस्वीर में मुस्कुराते दोस्तों के चेहरे के साथ एक ठहरा हुआ कैद बेशकीमती लम्हा उन दिनों की याद करा गया। So the time which you spend with your friends, it is just priceless, because that is the moment when you live your life with. So if you see this particular picture, you see a different color, because every person here is of a different personality. So he drew all the person of a different personality, and it is the friendship which brings them together. And this snap, it will remind you of your 10th class, of your 12th class, of your school living, that you want to capture that particular, but the last moment with your friends, so that whether you remember the name or not. That's why you don't see the eyes in this particular that you forget something about it. But when you see a particular picture, you say, yes, he was my friend. I may or may not remember his name. But you can see a smile, because whenever you see this snap, you always feel connected, and the smile does come to your place, come to your on your lips. एंड इसकी जो रिपोर्ट लिखी थी हमारे गोपाल सिन्हा जी ने, और उन्होंने इस पर्टिकुलर सेशन के लिए बहुत ही उतने ही जितना अच्छा हसीन वो ये पर्टिकुलर वो सेशन था, उतनी ही हसीन उनकी रिपोर्ट है जो इसका पार्ट है। और यही नहीं, उन्होंने तो उनकी कविताओं के भी उनका सत्य इसमें निकाल के किया, लेकिन इस कविताओं में उनकी कविताएं भी हैं जिसको आप पढ़ेंगे, जैसे आप ब्लेक को पढ़ के सब सुनते हैं तब याद आता है, वैसे आप इसमें कहते हैं उनकी कविताएं पढ़ेंगे तो आपको ये आएगा कि जितने भी लोग उस दिन जुड़े थे, उन्होंने कहीं ना कहीं अपने दोस्तों को ही याद किया, किसी रिश्ते को याद किया जिसने दोस्ती का वो निभाया था। तो
Excuse me, sir. I'm very sorry, sir, but I suppose we have to conform to the time limits.
It is almost concluded because this is a very short one. So
right.
You will find this, and along with this, you will find our regular feature in this particular magazine, and it has the Zoeb Dalal was also presented this particular program also, and he beautifully assists all the participants. And we have a new feature where you will see the photographs of people who were present at the till the last moment of the time, appreciating the last person standing and reciting the poem. And these are some people who are associated with this particular e-magazine, and these are the roots with which we are connected for this 282nd program till 87. And this is a list of office bearers of this of the PLG, and timetable of the programs. And this is the last page, which is a reminder of the banner and the participants of this session. I present this to Failji so that he releases this particular magazine, and so that it is read and appreciated by all. Thank you.
Oh, that's a wonderful magazine. And Pathak ji, I really appreciate and salute your spirit that weeks after week you bring such a fabulous magazine, with great great passion, and a lot of what you call hard work, and a lot of what you call vigilance, so I really appreciate that, from the time you have taken over as chief editor, I seldom see the magazine having any error or any deficiency. So that really confirms that the kind of love and passion you have, because the work alone doesn't give this kind of quality. It's your passion, it's your love for the literature, and your what do you call enthusiasm, that makes such a perfect and great work. Thank you for this, for presenting this magazine, and I dedicate this magazine to all the poetry lovers from all over the world who follow PLG pages. Thank you once again. Over to you, Jati.
Thank you so much. बहुत thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for the wonderful magazine, as Tufel sir already said. Without taking much time, may I now hand over the baton to our Director of Operations?
I think Jati, one participant who was not joined, she has dropped out because of internet, so she had joined in between. So I think if we can take her, that will be nice.
Sannidhi.
I suppose it's Sannidhi.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sir, I'm here.
Right. You can present, please.
Welcome, Sanidhi.
Okay. So today I'll be presenting the poem called The Smile by William Blake. The smile. There is a smile of love, and there is a smile of deceit, and there's a smile of smiles, in which these two smiles meet, and there's a frown of hate, and there's a frown of disdain, and there's a frown of frowns, which you strive to forget in vain, for it sticks in the heart's deep core, and it sticks in the deep backbone, and no smiles that ever was smiled, but only one smile alone, that betwixt the cradle and grave. It only once smiled can be, and when it once is smiled, there is an end to all misery. Thank you.
Very nice. Beautiful.
Excellent. Yes, over to you.
I think we all are ending with a smile, this smile poem.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
so much, PLG. I would like to take a leave. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone. And it's time to hand over the baton to Simiji, our Director of Operations, for the vote of thanks.
Thank you so very much. Thank you so much. Namaskar, good evening, good morning, Adab. PLG 282, William Blake. Today's session has been truly enriching as we immersed ourselves in the timeless poetry of William Blake. His verses continue to inspire us with their depth, vision, and spiritual strength. On behalf of PLG, I extend our gratitude to the great poet whose works remind us of the beauty of innocence, the struggle of experience, and the eternal bond between man and divine. A heartfelt thanks to our graceful anchor, Miss Jati, who conducted today's program with such warmth and elegance. Your smooth anchoring, thoughtful words, and lively presence kept the flow of the program engaging and meaningful. We are truly grateful for your uh, dedication and the vibrant spirit. Thank you so much, Miss Jati, for your outstanding anchoring. You shared so much valuable information about William Black with us. Lots of love and blessing. Keep shining. Thank you so very much, Jati. Miss Jati. A big thank you to all 12 participants from 11 countries who beautifully presented William Blake's poem today. Each of you brought your own charm, expressions, and unique interpretation, making this session both vibrant and memorable. Your efforts and voices breathe new life into Blake's poetry, and we deeply appreciate your contribution. Miss Niska, Miss Master Kavyans, Miss Alina, Master Pratham, Master Arif, Arti Ganeshji, Minu Lodhaji, Anwarji, Shuyas Guptaji, Dr. Anisuddinji, Batulji, and Miss Sanidhi. Many, many thanks to all participants for excellent recitation. All the viewers watching us on YouTube are encouraging us with their presence. My heartfelt thanks to each one of you, Priyanka Ganeshji, Dr. Nisuddinji, Miss Elena, and others for commenting on YouTube. I would like to thank Global President Tufalji. I would like to thank GVP Satishji and Anupam Ramesh Kingarji. I would like to thank Social Media Head and Advisor Kapil Patraji. I would like to thank Chief Editor Anupam Pathakji and Art Design Editor Shalini ji. I would like to thank Media Managers Gopal ji, Shere Banu ji, Anupam Kingar ji, Anjali ji, Purnima ji, Anupam Pathak ji. I would like to thank IT Head Manowar ji. I would like to thank Zoeb ji for CTL cover page. I would like to thank Master Amir and Arif Tufal for video and poster. I would like to thank Dr. Mita ji and all regional president. See you next week in PLG South and East Asia program, where along with participants from Southeast Asia, we will also listen to the creation of other poets. Until then, please allow us to take leave. Shubhratri, Sabah Khair, good night.
And with
Thank
that,
you so much, Miss Elena.
With that, we are
Thank
signing
you.
off, and we, as Patak is, I think he has left, but as we recognize the people who are there till from beginning to the end. So today we have Meenu Lodaji who joined the first time, and she stayed throughout the program from beginning to end. So these are the people who are supporters of the literature. Miss Alina, she is such a young girl and she has stayed throughout the program. So that really
Thank
shows,
you.
your, means that you are so attached to literature at such a young age. Zoeb Dalal Sahab, Shere Banoji, they're beginning from beginning to the end. Anwar Bhai from Canada from beginning to end. Batul ji from beginning to the end. So that's a great thing. You people, the people who are there, throughout the program, they are the strength, and they give us a strength to do such programs again and again. I have already consumed more time. So with that, I'm signing off. And
Can I say 2 lines? Can I say 2 lines? Just 2 lines.
yes, please. Yes, please.
I am a bilingual poet. So, जिंदगी क्या है? एक धुंधली सी शाम, 4 दोस्त, एक कप अदरक वाली चाय, एक टूटी कुर्सी और कुछ पुरानी कविताएं. This is
वाह
life.
वाह वाह, क्या बात है,
Thank you
क्या
so much.
बात है. और आप bilingual poet भी हैं, तो we will listen to
Yes.
you in poetry, in Kavi Sammelan Mushaira
Yes,
also
yes.
very
Sir.
soon.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
अभी हम ऑनलाइन से विदा लेते हैं हम लोग.
Yeah, I will also
Take
take leave
care and
because early morning का time है. So
जी.
I will take leave. Thank you.
Take care. Take